in reverse. We're gonna start with the worst record in the division all the way up to the champs.
Okay.
Seattle Cardinals, 49ers, Rams. That's how we're gonna run this.
We're gonna kick it off, man. Let's get it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you folks.
The Seahawks, man, and I'll just start talking about the Seahawks. One, right? I think everybody kind of knows the offseason that the Seahawks had, right? Starting with the biggest, what I'm gonna call the biggest transaction of the offseason thus far, which was Russell Wilson, Mr. Go Hawks himself, leaving the Seahawks, joining the Denver Broncos, right? That's where he's going to probably end up finishing out his career. In turn, sending, Shelby Harris from the Broncos, Noah Fant, Drew Lock, and a slew of picks up to Seattle, right? So they get a chance to start again, begin this rebuild. I know Pete is very adamant about not using the word rebuild, and I don't know why teams are saying rebuild. Like, it's a dirty word in the NFL. You can't say it. But guys, if you're going into the season with Drew Lock as your quarterback, and I wish Mike was on here now because Mike is a Drew Lock stan. But if you're going into the season with Drew Lock as your number one option, you're in a rebuild. I don't know how to inform you of this, but you're in a rebuild. But let's talk about like some of their picks, right? And as a divisional opponent, night one, I was very excited because I was like, man, there's nothing that really happened where I thought that they got better. But they go and they take Charles Cross, offensive tackle out of Mississippi State, which, if you don't know anything about this kid, he was one of the top 20 recruits in college. He had his share of suitors. This guy is a dog, right? And Mike and I were kind of talking as we were watching the first round together, and we're like, man, if Seattle had drafted like this to keep their quarterback upright when Russell Wilson was there, maybe Russell would still be there.
Yep.
So I was very shocked to see them actually go offensive tackle with their first pick. It's been a need. I think if you've watched Seattle for any kind of amount of time, you would know that their offensive line has been a problem for a long time, right? And I think when you don't have a quarterback that has the talents of Russell Wilson, I think you do have to make a few more moves to kind of make that lineup a little bit more staunch, right? To protect Drew Lock or Geno Smith or whoever you're going to put back there, right? So I like the pick of Charles Cross. Not exactly sexy, but is definitely a need, right? He's not the best in pass pro, so they'll have to do some work there, but he is a mauler when it comes to running the ball, and that's something that Pete Carroll really likes to do. I think he's got about 50 million running backs on that roster right now. That is a big halfback room, so expect them to return to form doing that. Then their next pick, right? Boye Mafe, right? Edge out of Minnesota. Minnesota's a Big Ten school. So I saw quite a bit of him, being a Michigan fan myself, seeing him. I think he's quick, right? He's got some explosion coming off the edge. He's probably going to replace Carlos Dunlap, right? Like, that's probably what they're thinking. Like, hey, we need some more pressure off of the edge. The pick that I like the most, right? Because I'm not going to break down every single pick for them, but the pick that I like the most was their day 2 pick, the 9th pick overall, Kenneth Walker III out of Michigan State. This to me is the best running back that Seattle has had since Marshawn Lynch, right? He's sturdy. His balance and field vision is probably top notch. I had him very high on my board in terms of running backs. I think he was like my number 2 running back in this draft. And a lot of it is because of his physical toughness and his balance and his ability to run through tackles and things of that nature. He's got some decent breakaway speed, right? Faster than you think, but he's not the fastest running back on the board, but he's also his ability to pass catch out the backfield, I think, is going to be huge. And his ability to perform in pass pro. So this is dangerous. I think the tandem of him, it's going to be him and probably Chris Carson that are going to be controlling that backfield. That's going to be the primary 1-2 punch there, especially since, Chris Carson, God bless his soul, but not his ankles. He just seems to go down every season with some kind of ankle injury. And then just talking briefly on some late picks that I like for them, because I'd be lying to you if I said I knew who every one of these guys are. But the 2 guys that stood out that I thought were good in the day 3 picks, right? Round 4 and round 5 picks, Kobe Bryant and Tariq Woolen. Not that Kobe Bryant, RIP, Black Mamba, but this kid out of Cincinnati, I thought he was going to go a lot higher than what he was going to go. I had like a 3rd to 4th round. Yeah, I had like a 3rd round grade on him, right? But he goes kind of right there in the middle of the fourth. Big kid. And Seattle needs help in their secondary, man. Seattle needs a lot of help in their secondary. I think we watched them get torched over and over and over and over and over again. This is one of the bigger, physical prospects in the draft. When you come to that, you see his height there on the screen, 6'1", 193 pounds. You're going to need that, right, in a division where very receiver heavy. You're going to be covering the likes of Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, who's a big jump ball receiver that's in there. Van Jefferson's going to be out there. Who knows if Odell is coming back to that division. As it stands right now, you're still covering Deebo Samuel in that division. Brandon Jennings, he's probably not going to get put on like a George Kittle or something like that. But then you think about the 5,000 receivers that the Cardinals have. AJ Green, DeAndre Hopkins, now adding Hollywood Brown into the mix. Zach Ertz, who's a tight end that they have, among some other weapons and stuff there. So I thought they addressed a need with him. Really liked him. I thought he should have gone a tad bit higher. And then Tariq Woolen, man, he was a guy that I wanted the Rams to draft. He's another one of the bigger corners in this draft, right? 6'4", 205 pounds, 33-inch, almost 34-inch arms, right? Huge wingspan on this kid. And he was a redshirt senior. So this is a guy he's taken quite a few snaps down there at Texas San Antonio. But he's going to be able to match up against some of those more physical receivers that they've got in the NFC West. And I think he'll serve them well. He's a little bit raw, but super fast, right? I think he ran like a 4.26 at the combine, right? So his instincts are a little raw and stuff like that. So he's definitely going to need to be coached up. But I can say like the Seattle Seahawks, their secondary is better. So overall, man, if I had to grade them, if I had to grade the Seahawks, I give them probably like a C+ to a B-. I think there's just too many holes to be addressed in the single draft. Even with the capital that they had, I think it's going to be a hard thing. And not everybody on this thing is going to shake out. But I think they've got at least 3 to 4 bona fide starters out of this draft. Like day one, these kids are going to be starting. So B-, C+.
Yeah. I got them a little bit higher, man. I really like this draft a lot for them, man. I think it's really important. Charles Cross, man, he is in my eyes, he's top 3 best O lineman. I mean, not number 1, but definitely top 3 best O lineman in this draft, especially when it comes to tackle position.
Mm-hmm.
Kenneth Walker, he touched on that. Hey, best running back in the draft. Fantastic. I'm glad that you brought up my guy Tariq Woolen. When you started talking, I clicked on Tyreek Smith. That was my mistake. But man, I really like that. Hey, I used to live in San Antonio, Texas. Shout out to the Alamo City, the Countdown City, UTSA. I like that pickup a lot, man. It's good to see a small school really start to rise in the ranks and be very successful. So I'm gonna give them a solid B. I like it. I really like the picks. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the Arizona Cardinals. Let my screen catch up with me here for a second.
So Arizona Cardinals, I think, this was this the first or the second trade of the night where we found out that a receiver was on the move? Either way, right? We found out day one the receiver was on the move, and it wasn't Deebo Samuel like everybody thought it was going to be. Turns out it was Hollywood Brown, and I don't know who had that move pegged on their thing. I was not even aware that Hollywood Brown was a candidate to be moved, right? But Hollywood Brown heads to Arizona to rejoin former college teammate Kyler Murray. So instantly there's some chemistry there. And then on top of all that, right, it's just another weapon in this already very, very receiver heavy Cardinal offense. And I think that's fine, right? It suits them. We've seen them line up with three wide, right, with the tight end and stuff like that. So, I mean, this is a team that likes to get vertical. They're trying as hard as they can, right, not to let Kyler use his legs. They don't really want to see him take off running. They would like him to just create, more time and opportunity, but they want to get vertical and they want to throw it down the field. It is just a ton of speed on the outside. And I think, right, a combination of like a Hollywood Brown and who's the young guy? Is it Rondell Moore or whoever they have down there?
Rondell Moore.
Yeah, Rondell Moore, right?
He's like Steve Smith Jr., man.
Another super fast, short, stocky, right? Not the biggest guys, right? But if they get over the top of you, like they're gone. And I think that's going to really complement what DeAndre Hopkins does, right? Which is he plays a jump ball, very good possession receiver, but DeAndre Hopkins, and it's not a knock on him, right? Like he just no longer possesses the speed to take you over the top. Like by himself. So I think it presents a very interesting problem for defenses this season where they're going to have those speedsters, in the slot running streaks down the outside with Hollywood Brown. And then you still got to locate D-Hop and figure out where he's going to be. And then not to mention they've got Zach Ertz, right? So their first round draft pick was Hollywood Brown this year. But because of the trade, right, they didn't have an official pick in this year's draft until round 2. And what did they do? They immediately go weapon offense, Trey McBride. I cannot tell you how much I love this pick. I do not like this team, but I love this pick, right? Kid from my state, Colorado, right? From CSU, Fort Collins. He is probably one of the most athletic, physically gifted tight ends in this draft, which is kind of scary, right? Because now they can run that 2 tight end set, and Zach Ertz ain't no slouch either. But this is a guy that has all the physical traits. He's not gonna like beat you, but he is a big physical gifted receiver, and he's got good twist and bend. Right, 6'4", 246 pounds. Not huge vertical jump, but like 33 inches is probably higher than what I can jump.
Yeah.
So, and he's got 32-inch arms, right? So just he's going to excel in this offense. I think Arizona is really kind of telling you what their mindset is, right? Which is, let's give Kyler some more weapons because we need to attack. And I don't know, me personally, I don't know if I like that philosophy for team building, but it is what it is, right? Mm-hmm. Then they went down into defense, right? They went and took a defensive end out of San Diego State, Cameron Thomas. And as much as I like Cameron Thomas, I like the pick they made after him, right? Majai Sanders, the edge out of Cincinnati. And I think because of how good the program was with Cincinnati this year, we saw a lot more of these Cincinnati prospects than we would have normally seen any other year. This is a guy that I think they're looking at as the heir apparent to JJ Watt, right? Now, this is not me saying that he's on JJ Watt's level. Please don't misconstrue that, right? But this is a big, long pass rusher, right? He's 6'5", 228, another 33-inch arms, massive hands. Didn't do too bad on the 40-yard dash, right? 4.67 on the 40-yard. But a shuttle drill, I think this is the thing that's impressive, right? The shuttle, the 20-yard shuttle, 4.37. So he's very shifty and quick. He can get skinny and he's got that long range that he can get somebody. So I can really see him making an impact coming off the edge. He's probably we will probably see some of him this year, and not for nothing, right? I think it's unfortunate, but it's just become kind of a pattern. When JJ Watt inevitably suffers his injury, this is probably going to be the guy that's going to come in and do it. If he's not already playing opposite. And he'll probably get some time playing opposite JJ, but when JJ goes down, this will probably be the guy that they insert in there too. They went and took another running back, which kind of confused me, but I get it, right? James Conner, I think he showed that he does belong in Arizona last season, but they went and picked up another running back from USC, Keontae Ingram. I think this is going to be a good, thunder and lightning, right? Keontae Ingram's got that breakaway speed. He's not as nearly as physical as James Conner, but he's got that breakaway speed. He's going to be able to catch passes out the backfield, which once again, patient runner, another weapon. I was really hoping out of this draft that they were going to, I'm not. Let me rephrase. If I'm an Arizona Cardinal fan, I was really, really hoping that they were going to address more of the offensive line to kind of protect Kyler and give him more time to throw, as opposed to him having to create more time with his legs. Because I am not a fan of the Arizona Cardinals, I hope that all of these people fail, and I hope their team is terrible for years to come. So let me just clarify that. But they did go back right in the later rounds. They tried to address that interior of the offensive line, drafting 2 guards in Smith and Marquise Hayes out of Oklahoma, who I thought man, I really thought that Marquise Hayes, right? I don't think he's the greatest interior offensive lineman. Really shocked to see him go as low as he did in the 7th round. But I think that could be a potential steal for them there. If I had to give them a grade, just based off of what I've seen those guys do, this to me is another C plus effort. Yes, you got more weapons, but I don't think they addressed a big need, which was kind of shoring up some of that offensive line, and the people that they did get, I don't think they make a big enough impact day one. But it doesn't look like they're counting on needing a lot of time for Kyler to throw, right? They picked up all those speedsters and, like I said, all these other weapons out the backfield. So let's bold strategy. Let's see if it works.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. This is a solid C. I'm gonna match you right there, okay, Adrian. This is looking real like the 2016 Miami Dolphins, meaning you have a mobile quarterback, you got all these beautiful receivers, right? You got Hartline and Wallace and all these other cats out there, right? I think Greg Jennings was there around that time, but you have no O-line. You have no O-line. You can have all, and I'm like, man, is Lycidas Smith gonna? He's pretty dope, I will say. I watched a little bit of him. But like Marcus Hayes, you mentioned he slid a little bit. But are these guys going to make that much more of a difference on that O-line? That's a big concern I have of mine. But again, I give them a solid C. I believe they did pick up a O-line in free agency, if my memory serves me correct. But you could pay you could pay Kyler Smith all the money in the world. But I think he's still going to be getting knocked around this upcoming season until they address that O-line. You got to make the unsexy picks, man. You got to,
Yeah.
The first two picks of this draft should have been O-line. But
I'm going to say something I know is going to rub a lot of fans the wrong way. But to me, this feels like I think everybody in the world knows what the situation with Kyler in Arizona is. Inevitably, they're going to pay him, right? Because they really just don't have any option. Even if they didn't want to pay him, like, what are you going to do? You're going to go back to the drawing board next year?
Yeah.
Because chances are, right, like, as much as I don't like them, they're probably not going to be in a position to take a top quarterback next year. They're probably going to play a good enough season that's going to play them out of position to draft a quarterback. They're not going to move Kyler, because if they move Kyler, they have nothing. This draft and the moves that they've made kind of seems like, hey, let's try to make Kyler as happy as possible, so that way we can get to the table and negotiate with him. That's what it feels like to me. We'll probably catch flack for that, but like, that's what it feels like to me. And I'm not saying that that's a bad practice either, right? Happy quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, I would have liked them to address some other things. But like I said, as a division rival, I like what they did. So looking forward to how it shakes out for them in the season. But without further ado, let's switch over to my most hated rival in all of football. And in my entire division, the San Francisco 49ers.
What do they say during the draft? Bang, bang, Niner gang? Something like that?
I heard something about bang, bang, Cabo gang, something like that. I don't know. Really weird. But this is a team that is still to be respected, right? I know we get our jokes off. Rams fans get our jokes off because we went through them to get to the Super Bowl and ultimately ended up coming away with the hardware, right? Sure, they owned us 6 games to the 1 in the last 2 years, but we won the important one. This is a team that you just know, kind of like with the Seahawks, if there's a running back to be had early, they're going to draft them. This is another like halfback room that just has an insane amount of running backs. And that's not a bad strategy for them, right? I think we've seen what they've done with running backs over the last few years, whether it been Elijah Mitchell, right, or Raheem Mostert, right? They've taken these guys that maybe not necessarily everybody is high on, but for some reason in Kyle Shanahan offense, they are killers in this offense. And I think investing in the running back game continues to be very, very smart for them, especially I think if you're gunning for a long-term contract with Debo, right? Keeping him there. Part of his complaint, in addition to the money, is the utilization, him being utilized as a running back where he just wants to be a pure receiver. So I think if you have more backs that you can rotate in and get the kind of production that you were getting out of Debo, right? I think that goes a long way in hopefully keeping him there if you're that team. And like I said, it's just because we know what the injuries are in the league now, especially with an extended season and a shortened off-season ramp up to it. Injuries just continue to be more and more prevalent. So they take Tyron Davis-Price in the 3rd round, running back out of LSU. I like the kid a lot. The pick that they made before in the 2nd round, Drake Jackson Edge out of USC. God, I hate this pick. I hate this pick. Like, great pick for them, but I hate it as a division foe, right? Because this kid is going to be rushing opposite of Nick Bosa. And I think because there's going to be so much focus on Nick Bosa, and you still have Eric Armstead on the interior, right? Like, I think this kid has the potential to eat. I think he really, really has the potential to eat. Like, he is 6'3", 254 pounds, 34-inch, right? Like, and he's from California, so he probably got raised as a 49ers fan or a Raiders fan somewhere in there. So he still gets to stay at home. Something special about being able to play in front of your friends and family, right? Week in and week out. I think he is going to absolutely ball out for them, right? He led them in 11 games in 2019, 11 and a half tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks, and a couple pass breakups, right? I think I don't see him playing as an off-ball edge or a linebacker, whatever you want to class these kids as now. I think he's more, they're going to sit him down on the line and like, hey, go get after it, right? Kind of how they took Samson Ebukam last year. I think he's going to take over the Samson Ebukam role. Expect him to be a day one starter. It's going to be a nightmare for offenses. Those two, Nick Bosa and him coming off the edge. Then they added, more receivers. And I think this speaks to how they feel about Brandon Jennings, right? Who has appeared for them in spots, but hasn't been the consistent guy that they thought he was going to be. So I think they address that with Danny Gray. They go back and get cornerback in the 5th. Samuel Womack.
Hey, real quick on Danny Gray, man. Real quick, man. That was a fantastic pickup. He is a yak machine, yards after catch, man. He's a deep threat. I'm gonna pull up his stats here on the screen, just real quick, man.
Go.
Dude is an absolute beast. 6 foot tall, 186 pounds. I believe he had a 4.3 40. Yeah, here it is, 4.33 40. That's fantastic. Vertical jump was good and all that stuff. But this guy, man, he's hungry, man. He's ready to eat, man. It pissed me off in the draft to take and see the 49er fans boo that pick. But man, I hope that all those people booed, actually did thorough research on Mr. Danny Gray, man, because he's an absolute beast, man.
I like the kid, right? And he kind of plays into what Kyle Shanahan has been doing. And I think, obviously, I'm not in the building, right? It's just complete speculation on my part. But I think this kind of speaks to what the thought is behind the quarterback, right? The quarterback situation. Because you brought up a good point about Danny Gray, right? He is a yard after catch monster. And what is that important for? That's important for quarterbacks that are not necessarily going to be pushing the ball down the field, right? And if you've looked at Kyle Shanahan's offense, what it's looked like the past 2 years, right? It's a lot of slants and a lot of outs, right? Short routes that you get special receivers like Deebo Samuel, right? That catch it and they're able to make teams pay after the catch. And I think that kind of fits into that mold. Some people looked at that pick as, oh, he's Deebo Samuel insurance. I don't think he's Deebo Samuel insurance. And as much as I would love to see Deebo get out of our division, as it stands right now, I don't see a situation in which he's out of it unless he chooses to go the Le'Veon Bell route and just sit out this entire season. I think he's playing for San Francisco this season. And I think Danny Gray, like I said earlier, is Brandon Jennings insurance. I think that is the guy that they would like to put in, right? 2 big yard after catch receivers, having him and Deebo out there, similar traits. They've got the speed, similar builds, right? Not really going to kill you necessarily over the top, but let them get the ball in space, man, and they will make you pay for it. And it also makes me think that Jimmy G might be sticking around for that last year of his contract. Because if you had Trey Lance, who is more prone to take big shots down the field, I think you go get a receiver that has that skill set. And I don't think they have that receiver on their roster as of right now. So I think, right, this is good in case Trey Lance isn't pushing the ball, but I also think this is good because I do think, as it stands right now, Jimmy G is going to be that quarterback there. But moving on, right? I thought one of the biggest needs that they had in this year's draft was going to be that cornerback position, right? And I think they've kind of struggled to fill that cornerback position since Richard Sherman had his second stint of his career there, right? And then he got injured, wasn't quite the same. And we all saw the horrendous torch job that happened to him in those final minutes in that Super Bowl against Kansas City, right? That is, they've had, Jason Verrett step up, and he's been serviceable in that position. But it is still a room that needs a lot of help. So they try to address that with Samuel Womack, which is interesting, right? Because he's not one of the bigger ones. He's one of the smaller corners in this draft. I think he's like 5'9", 5'10", something like that. And I think that speaks to the speed that's in this game. You got a lot of these long, big corners that just can't run with some of these smaller, faster receivers. So I think you're going to see, right, the league start trending. And I think we saw that kind of this draft. You saw quite a few of these shorter cornerbacks go a lot earlier than what we thought that they were going to do. They added Kalia Davis, who I think is underrated. 6th round is about where I would have put him, but I think this kid has the potential to be something in the league, especially in the rotation on that defensive front sitting next to Eric Armstead. He has the potential to eat. He's coming out of University of Central Florida.
O-Town.
Yeah, man. He's, who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Vita Vea. And I'm not, he reminds me a lot of Vita Vea, right? He's a little bit smaller than Vita Vea, but he's got a very, very high motor, compact frame. He's going to be under the pads of a lot of these larger offensive linemen very, very quickly, eating up blocks. And I think he's going to create a lot of opportunities for Nick Bosa and for Eric Armstead to kind of get after the quarterback or get into the backfield and stop the run. This is a space eater, man. And I don't think that he gets enough love. Like I said, he's not going to be particularly fast, but I think on that line, with the people that he's going to be partnered with, this is going to be problems. And I think it's going to be, once again, very hard to run the ball on San Francisco because that defensive front is going to be very, very stout. This is, for me, if I'm giving the San Francisco 49ers a grade based off of what they do versus what they need, to me, this is another B. This is a B to B minus draft for them. Not the greatest draft, not a sexy draft, but for what they do versus what they need, I thought they addressed quite a few things. And the fact that they didn't move Deebo Samuel, as it stands right now, that's a win for them.
Oh yeah, and I'm gonna be right in that area. I'll give them a B minus, but close to B. I like this, man. Drake Jackson, great pickup, man. Scroll all the way down here. You hit the tail on the head, man, with Kalia Davis, man, D tackle. So they're adding layers to the defense. I really like, adding layers to the offense, the shoring up spots. Really love the Danny Gray pick, man. That's a deep threat, man. And he could work the slant. He could hit the dig route. Actually, fun fact, y'all, for those who just now watch this episode, I did interview him. So do check out my interview with him. Go down on my episodes in the interview section. You'll see my interview with Danny Gray. Super great guy. But yeah, man, I mean, it's just overall, I like this. Actually, no, I'm going to change this. I'm going to say B plus just because they're almost a complete team. But I was kind of waiting for that pick to something out there to just wow me. It wasn't wow, but I feel like they got better. The 49ers did get better. I think it all just kind of comes down to how the quarterback plays and how they play out next year, right? But moving on to the Super Bowl champions, your favorite team, my friend. Pulling them up right now, Los Angeles Rams. Soup, you want to take this one away, man?
Oh, man. This is the first time in a long time that I was not screaming at the sky, yelling, "What in God's name are we doing?" I feel really good about this draft class. And not in the way that, like, oh my God, look at these guys. Stud, 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 stud. I'm not delusional. But in terms of what we needed, just to kind of be able to compete again for a championship, right? And once again, having no first round draft pick for the millionth time, having no first round draft pick, having no second round draft pick, right? We don't get to pick until late in the third. I thought what they did, and this is kind of where Les Snead has made his money the last few years, right? Is hitting on guys between the third in the 7th round, those day 3 picks, right? This is kind of where we've built the majority of our roster here in these rounds. So I'm gonna start with my absolute favorite pick of the day for them, of the entire draft for them, and that is our first pick in Logan Bruss. Once again, watched a lot of Big Ten football because I am a Michigan fan myself. If you don't know anything else about Big Ten football, Wisconsin, all they do is run the ball and build offensive linemen that are geared for running the ball.
Yeah.
Right? He is going to join 2 former Wisconsin Badgers on this offensive line in David Edwards and Rob Havenstein, right? And I think he has a chance to start day 1 in that right guard spot, filling in for Austin Corbett. This is a massive man. You can see him on the screen, 6'5", 309 pounds, right? 33-inch arms, big hands. Why is it important that he's so big? If you guys know anything about our center, Brian Allen, he's considered an undersized center in this league, and a lot of people shy away from undersized guys. But the thing about an undersized center, if you pair him with 2 absolute massive bodies right on the outside of him, on his right and left, you can service it. The reason why I like this pick so much is because this kid is a mauler. Rams struggled last year in 3rd and 4th and short situations. We could not create spaces and gaps to run for our running backs to get behind, right? And I think Logan Bruss is really going to help us be able to get aggressive and bring some of that physical mentality to this team. The other thing that I really like about it, here's a cool stat about Logan Bruss. Since 2019, he has only allowed 1 sack on 596 snaps.
Damn.
Okay, so not only can he maul people down the field, he is excellent in pass protection. And you can't be like, oh, he's allowed 1 sack, but he's only played 5 reps. No, this kid has played 596 snaps. He's played significant time in the league, right? And he has some experience of tackle. We probably won't see him go out, but he will be on the interior, right? And he's quicker than you think, bigger than you think. Like I said, Sean McVay said it perfectly at the end of the day, right? Like, if you don't know anything else about Wisconsin, like, they just build nothing but great offensive linemen. If you get into Wisconsin, you don't have to do as much work on those guys because just the way that they do things over at that program, they're going to work in your system. So it was my absolute favorite pick of the draft for them. But then Rams went back and they addressed some stuff, right, with Jacoby Durant out of South Carolina State in the 4th round is another. We need some help with Jalen on the outside, right? And the departures of Darius Williams, him headed over to the Jaguars, getting his bag. Congratulations. I salute you, King. Thank you for your services. But now there's a hole on that side of the building, right? And we have Robert Rochelle, who was coming off an injury. This will be his 2nd year, so I think he'll get some burn there. But I think Jacoby Durant kind of fits right into that Darius Williams build. Another undersized corner, but plays much bigger than his actual size, right? And I think he's got a lot of stuff to prove because I think people looked at him coming out of South Carolina State and they're like, what? Yeah. I think he's an absolute dog. And you know what? Jalen Ramsey, I think is going to love him. Something that the Rams did too, and this isn't on the draft board, but they did trade a future 5th round pick with the Browns to bring back Troy Hill, who had played very well in the slot for them, is very familiar with the defensive scheme. The guy who's kind of been the Robin to Jalen Ramsey's Batman out there. So the secondary gets better. Another pick that I really loved in this draft for them, Kyren Williams, running back out of Notre Dame, right? Cool fact. This kid grew up a Rams fan, native out of St. Louis, right? They shared a cool picture on the draft of him as a kid with Steven Jackson.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, getting an autograph. Right. So I'm geeked to have this kid on there. This is, doesn't have breakaway speed. You see his 40 time, right? But his balance is insane and he is physical, in between the guards and the tackles, man. He is going to be that 3rd down back for us, but make no mistake about it, this could be a back that could take over that backfield. And that's no disrespect to Cam Akers or anybody, but he's just physical. Should Cam get hurt or anybody again, like I believe in Kyren Williams to come in, he will probably get the spot starting behind Cam Akers. I think he's going to be a lot of fun. And then another pick that I really liked, right? We addressing some more of that secondary because we had that run of safeties that just kept getting annihilated and injured on that run to the Super Bowl, right? So much so that we had to go bring Eric Weddle off the couch to, years retired, bring him off the couch. They bring in Quentin Lake from UCLA, right? So he gets to stay in California. And 6'1", 201 pounds, not the fastest, but you can move him down into the box and he's a thumper, man. I really, really like Quentin Lake. I think he's going to be a perfect fit on this Rams defense. And then if I had to pick, one more thing that I like about this draft, I like the kid in the 7th that we took, Daniel Hardy out of Montana State, right? We lost Von Miller. I know everybody's laughing at us. Ha, ha, ha. You guys gave up a 2nd and a 3rd for Von Miller, and then he left you at the altar for more money with Buffalo.
Yeah.
It's sad. I'd be lying to you if I said I don't want Von Miller back. That would be a complete liar. I love what we saw from him. Daniel Hardy and the Lombardi Trophy, nice consolation prizes for not having Von, right? Thank you for your service. We've got a 2nd Lombardi because of you. I can never say anything negative about Von and his time on the Rams. But Daniel Hardy is an interesting prospect because this is a guy that I don't think he's going to be a day one, but I think he has a chance to make the 53-man, kind of like Chris Garrett did last year, right? And I think this is a guy that could see some rotational snaps and some very specific pass rushing packages, kind of how we brought in Ogbo Okoronkwo last year for very specific pass situations, right? I think Terrell Lewis is going to get the opportunity to rush the passer as the primary, going opposite Leonard Floyd. I think that's going to be the primary guy. But I think it's going to be a competition between this kid, Daniel Hardy, and Chris Garrett for those rotational snaps. 6'2", 239 pounds, faster than you think. Not a lot of tape. Not a lot. I haven't been able to watch a lot of tape on him just because Montana State is not a program that I'm like really, really glued into. But 4'6", 40-inch vertical jump. Like this is a guy that got very, very good bend to him. And on top of that, like he is a monster when it comes to jamming tight ends at the line of scrimmage, right? And his change of direction speed and his ability to get under the pads, like I like it. And he's got a very explosive first step and quick get off, right? So he'll probably come in and immediately contribute on special teams, but expect him to take some of those rotational snaps and pass rushing. I'm not even going to pretend that I don't have a little bias because it's my team, but based off of this draft, what we needed, the fit of the players, and when we got them, for me, this is a B+ to an A- draft for the Rams, right? Given everything that they have, when they could make their first pick, and the selections that they made for fit and for need for what they do, I think they drafted incredibly well. And I'm also going to give this front office the benefit of the doubt, because we've seen it time and time again with them. The kids, the people that weren't supposed to worked out, right? I think they said 20, we had like 22 people on our, in that championship run were players that we drafted, and a lot of them coming within the 4th, 5th, 6th round. A lot of those guys have gone on to get deals, but your Triple Crown receiver, Super Bowl MVP was a 3rd round pick, 69th overall pick, Cooper Kupp. Sebastian Joseph Day, who just signed a big contract. Well, he signed a nice size contract, right? It's big to me because I don't got money like that. Just signed a 3-year deal with the LA team across the hall and the Chargers. He was a 6th round pick. Pick number 199, Jordan Fuller, in his 2nd year with us. He's a starter and he was a team captain at safety for us this year, right? Nick Scott, I call him the human hit stick, number 33. You'll know him from that hit that he put on Deebo Samuel, where he basically annihilated him coming over the middle, made some huge plays for us in the playoff run, right? He's an undrafted free agent, special teams guy. So this front office has proven that they can develop some of these later round guys, and maybe not into household names, but into people that are taking meaningful snaps. So B+, A- for these guys.
Hey, man, I'm right there with you, man. Not to be a yes man, but man, you made some great points, man. Look, and it's a complete team, man. The Super Bowl winning Los Angeles Rams, right? You can't just say Rams without them, man. They won the Super Bowl against and dude, this playoffs was brutal. That's why you had some teams like the Rams come up, man, which we knew the Rams were going to be good, but they had the F them picks, and then the first ever team to win a Super Bowl, make it to and win the Super Bowl with the F them picks kind of, at least to my knowledge. Then you had the Bengals, right? But they're a very complete team, and they had a very strong free agency, right? I would have liked to, let me see here. I mean, they got a guard in Wisconsin, man, to shore up the O-line. And then later on, they got AJ Arcuri. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly.
Michigan State, yep.
You know what I mean? So I like it. I give it a B+, man. For me to give it A, it's tough, man, because everything got to be perfect across the board, man. But I feel like A+, A-, B+, man. I'm right there with you, big dog.